Most of us are very familiar with adversity and the challenge of trying not only to survive in the face of it, but to actually thrive despite the difficulties that we face. From time to time, we all experience situations that are challenging, but finding ways to overcome those challenges by developing strength couldn't be more important if we want to enjoy the best possible success in life. Relentless drive is the answer. When we can find ways of boosting our ability to cope, even if nothing is going our way, we can become unstoppable. Grit and resilience lie at the heart of this. Persistence, perseverance, and perspective are all essential when we want to move forward in strength and success. So, what are grit and resilience, and how can their power be harnessed to create the relentless drive that we need to thrive? In this video course, we take a closer look at the importance of these things in our lives and examine how we can begin to develop them and hone them into a weapon that we can then use to our best advantage. When we know how grit and resilience can help us in different areas of our lives, and we know how we can foster those skills and put them into practice, we can stand the best chance of success, both in our personal lives and in the workplace. In this video, we'll talk about grit, resilience, and the growth mindset, a key trio. There are two different mindsets that we can experience, fixed or growth. The fixed mindset involves believing that your qualities cannot be changed and are set in stone. Meanwhile, the growth mindset involves believing that you can cultivate your own basic qualities through your own efforts. Often, individuals have a fixed mindset about one aspect of their lives, but have a growth mindset about another. Maybe you've always thought you were bad at math and believe that others were born with an innate ability to calculate. However, you are confident about your musical talent and seek opportunities to showcase it as often as you can. You believe that it's a skill you can develop over time with practice. Every time you show off your talent and get positive feedback, you use it to improve. You're motivated to carry on practicing and perfecting your abilities. With this in mind, it's easy to see why having a fixed mindset holds you back, preventing you from taking opportunities that are presented to you. But how can a growth mindset be developed? The answers lie in grit and resilience. These three things work together to form a key trio that sets you up to overcome adversity and achieve success in your life. Gaining perspective for growth increases resilience. When you exhibit resilience, you can step back from challenging situations, accepting their negative elements while finding meaning and opportunity, even in the middle of adversity. When you find opportunities, you strive harder, set more ambitious goals, and take the necessary actions to achieve those goals. Perspective plays a major role in this. When you look at things from a more positive standpoint, your resilience can be greatly increased. Let's take a look at why. When you take a positive perspective, your choice options expand exponentially. You become empowered rather than disabled. You can begin to focus your efforts on the things that you're able to change while accepting those that you cannot. With a positive perspective, you naturally become more resilient because of your acceptance of negativity. When you accept that bad things happen and sometimes there's nothing you can do to change them, but that instead you can harness your own potential to change those things that are possible to alter yourself, you are given the power to improve your life. You become more able to cope with the problems and overcome adversity because you understand that you are the one thing in life you can control. And when you're able to take control over any aspect of your life, you can take action to improve your circumstances. Meanwhile, being able to accept the things you can't change without frustration, anger, or fear allows you to be more at peace with the challenging elements of your life. Confidence and motivation boost grit for growth. Everyone stumbles occasionally on the path to success, and that means you'll need at some point to get back up again and back in the saddle. So, how can you find the strength to do this? The answer is by developing resilience and grit for growth. Unforeseen surprises and shocks are a fact of life. But if you can maintain your integrity and core purpose, even in the face of those unpleasant experiences, you can overcome adversity most effectively. Grit for growth lies at the center of this. Grit for growth is a dynamic blend of confidence and motivation. These two things work together to empower you to regulate your emotions and reappraise the situations in which you find yourself. When you believe you can find a meaningful purpose in your life, believe you can influence your own environment and the outcome of events that affect you, and believe that both negative and positive experiences alike can lead to growth and learning, you can develop the kind of grit that leads to resilience. With resilience and grit, you can move forward and persevere, whatever obstacles you're facing in life. You can begin to believe the saying, everything will come out right in the end, and if everything isn't right, it isn't the end. 5 steps to developing a growth mindset for relentless drive. Are you ready to develop a growth mindset so you can have the relentless drive you need to succeed? Then here are 5 steps for you to follow. 1. Focus on your choice of language. This works whether you're trying to boost someone else's growth mindset or your own. When you praise yourself or another person for a strength or characteristic, make sure you use words that emphasize a growth mindset. Instead of thinking or saying, "You're so smart," or "You're so flexible," instead praise for strategy or effort. Telling yourself you're intelligent fosters the fixed mindset. Telling yourself that you've put in a lot of effort and use strategy to your advantage fosters resilience. It reminds you that you have a key role to play when it comes to achieving a successful solution to your problems. 2. Surround yourself with positivity. Thoughts become reality. Although you can't choose everyone you interact with every day, you can spend time with certain people intentionally. When you create an environment of positive thinking, growth mindset becomes the norm. You start to view everything around you as supporting you instead of thwarting your efforts. 3. Adopt flexible patterns of thinking. If you become less rigid in your actions and thoughts, grit and resilience can blossom. Flexible people never see problems. Instead, they see only opportunities for learning and growth. If you meet every challenge with more creative patterns of thought, you begin to realize that you're capable. This confidence will only serve to breed more resilience. 4. Set goals to align with your own purposes. People who have a sense of their own purpose are naturally happier. It can be hard to define purpose, though. If you create small goals on the path to a larger purpose, you're able to increase your successes as well as the speed at which those goals can be accomplished. 5. Build time into every day for reflection. If you take time to think about things and reflect, you can bring a greater awareness to everything you've accomplished. It also allows you to see more clearly the path you need to take. Perhaps that reflection can take the shape of journaling, meditation, or just a walk outdoors in the sunshine. However, you give yourself space and time to think about your accomplishments and assess them non-judgmentally. This allows you a chance to weigh up the pros and cons of your actions and adjust our behavior accordingly. Like all valuable skills, grit and resilience will need to be practiced. But this work will be worth the effort since fostering mindset-expanding traits has a positive impact on all elements of your life. In this video, we'll talk about a look at 2 key components in relentless drive: grit and resilience. A relentless drive requires 2 major components: grit and resilience. So, what are these 2 things and why are they so important? Research has shown that if you can be gritty and resilient, sticking with the things that matter to you and bouncing back if and when you fail, this is a vital component of your success, regardless of how much intelligence and talent you possess. This gives you the relentless drive you need to succeed. whatever adversity you face. What is grit? Put in basic terms, grit is perseverance and passion for meaningful, long-term goals. It's the capacity to continue to persist at something you're passionate about and to persevere even if obstacles get in your way. This is the type of passion that's about commitment and direction, not infatuation or intense emotion. With this type of passion, you're able to remain committed to tasks that are boring, difficult, or challenging. Not only that, but grit is about perseverance too. Persevering means sticking with it and continuing to work hard, even if you experience failure or difficulties. Grit is incredibly important in life because it drives our success and achievement. Being naturally talented and smart is great. However, if you want to truly thrive and do well in life, and who doesn't, you need to be able to persevere. Without grit and resilience, talent can amount to nothing but unmet potential. It's only when you put in effort that your talents become skills that can lead to success. What is resilience? Let's look more closely at resilience. Typically, resilience is defined as being able to recover from even the most difficult of life's events. It is your ability to cope with adversity, withstand it, and, when you fail, to bounce back and carry on growing, even when life takes a downturn. Resilience isn't a trampoline. You won't be up one moment and down the next. Rather, it's more like a mountain climb with no trail map. It will take strength, time, and support from others. You're sure to experience many setbacks on the way. Eventually, though, you'll get to the summit and be able to look back and see the distance that you've traveled. It's important to note, though, that resilient people will still experience emotional upheaval, suffering, and stress. While it's common to equate being resilient with being mentally tough, instead, demonstrating resilience means working through that suffering and emotional pain and coming out the other side stronger and more positive. Resilience is vital since it gives you the strength you need to process hardship and overcome it. If you lack resilience, you'll be overwhelmed too easily and can be tempted to adopt unhealthy coping strategies to get through the tough times. Resilient people, on the other hand, can tap into their own support systems and strengths when it comes to overcoming challenges and working through problems. Resilience comes in two forms. Emotional resilience allows you to tap into your own optimism, even if you're trying to cope in a crisis. Meanwhile, physical resilience is your body's capacity to adapt to a challenge and to recover more quickly. Both are helpful when it comes to overcoming adversity. The good news is that resilience isn't a trait that's fixed in place. You can bolster or even build resilience in yourself by changing your behaviors and patterns of thinking, helping you to find more inner strength. In this video, we'll talk about some real-life examples of grit and relentless drive. Everyone will undoubtedly be able to think of some famous examples that demonstrate grit and relentless drive. Some obvious ones include Henry Ford, who declared bankruptcy no less than 5 times before finally achieving success with the Ford Motor Company, or Bill Gates, whose first product, the Traf-O-Data, was a shocking failure before he went back to the drawing board and developed Microsoft. However, how can you apply grit and relentless drive to everyday life? Here are a few examples that may resonate more easily with you and that you may recognize from your daily life. You're on the wrestling team. It's your first year and you're still learning more about this sport. Each time you go to a tournament or duel, you lose. Instead of quitting, though, you continue returning to each drill and practice and attend the next tournament or duel. You're learning an especially challenging piece of music, and the finger movements are complex, and you're considered to be average by your instructor. Most of your peers are able to perform better than you. However, rather than quitting, you continue to practice each day, taking deliberate effort to get better, and over the weeks and months, your finger movements start to become more fluid. You've always wanted to learn karate, But now you're middle-aged and your body isn't as flexible as it once was. The other students are strong, more flexible, and faster than you. Yet, you never miss a training session. You practice the different techniques you've learned and work out how you can adapt them for your own body while boosting your accuracy, speed, and stamina. Finally, you earn your first belt. You've never been good at art. You struggle to even draw a basic stick figure. However, with a determination to learn how you can draw a person, you start taking classes, and after several months, you're able to make your own self-portrait. You've always been keen to learn a different language, but you're worried you're too old now that you retired, and it'll take far too long to become fluent. One day, you spot an advert for a language course that promotes fluency in just 3 months. You join this program, complete all the lessons, and once the course is complete, you're able to hold a conversation in the language of your choice. All of these are examples of how grit and resilience work in practice. These are just some of the ways in which ordinary people harness the potential of these two key elements for success in their own lives. In this video, we'll talk about the importance of resilience and grit to a growth mindset. We've already looked at the importance of the growth mindset when it comes to overcoming adversity and thriving in the face of life's challenges. So, why are grit and resilience so essential for this mindset? Combining grit and resilience is important for a balanced mindset. Developing resilience and grit helps you to not only build a growth mindset, but to sustain it too. It isn't enough to just have resilience or just grit. You need to combine both things to achieve true success. Grit contributes to your mindset. We are all born with an innate level of grit. After all, think of a toddler who is just learning how to walk. Some toddlers will start doing this with very little encouragement from their parents. They start pulling themselves to their feet, taking a few steps before falling and getting up again, ready to repeat the process time and again until they're finally able to walk. Others who fall several times begin to need more encouragement before they can get up and give walking another try. This natural grit needs to be combined with learned resilience so that your mindset can become balanced. Achieving the right balanced mindset allows you to have perspective over the situations you face. As we've already pointed out, perspective is essential when it comes to overcoming adversity. Importance of resilience and grit in the workplace. One obvious situation in which grit and resilience are vital to success is in the workplace. Most of us have wondered from time to time why this or that person is so successful in their work. It's important to understand that their success doesn't come from their intelligence, their traits, or even their willingness to work for extra time or take on more commitments than are strictly necessary. In the modern workplace where rivalry, strict deadlines, staff cutbacks, and organization change are all commonplace, this type of success relies solely on the individual's ability to not just cope, but to thrive in the face of stress and adversity. When you encounter the inevitable challenges you'll encounter in the workplace, you'll need to be resilient and bounce back. The workplace will always present several stressors to its employees. So, how can you become more resilient at work? It's important to be aware that resilience is actually just a skill, and like other skills, it can be learned and improved with practice. A resilient employee can build strong relationships and connections with others. These are high-quality relationships that are characterized by several features, especially effective communication. Resilient workers who have positive working relationships do everything possible to help others to become successful at work, since they're team players, aiming for a win-win situation with all their fellow employees. A resilient employee will also nurture the working network they've forged, building trust consistently with other people and fostering positive emotions with other employees. The modern workplace is typified by stress, And with internet access and cutting-edge technology, the work is constantly present in our lives. A resilient worker can manage this stress effectively, preventing it from becoming detrimental and overwhelming. By engaging actively in self-care, nurturing themselves when they experience stressful times, a resilient employee can avoid burnout. A further characteristic of resilient employees is that they are true to their real selves. They behave in ways that align with their personal beliefs and values. Essentially, they demonstrate grit in their determination to achieve their challenging and ambitious goals, whatever obstacles they encounter. A gritty, resilient worker perceives their work as meaningful, and thanks to this mindset, they feel their work will achieve an outcome that is valuable. This equips them more effectively to cope when work is stressful. Even with a resilient mindset, employees will experience stress at work. But a characteristic of such workers is that they monitor their thought patterns when under duress and identify the patterns that impede their chance of success. Resilient workers are also adaptive and flexible, ready to cope with change in the workplace. So, how can you develop more resilience and grit in your working life? Take a positive stance. This allows you to adapt more effectively to adversity, giving you more control over your working environment. Putting motivation and energy into your work will build personal resilience. Having emotional insight. With emotional insight, you can be more aware of the emotions you're experiencing and whether they're positive or negative. You'll be able to consider the impact of your behavior and reactions on yourself and others. Developing balance. Personal resilience is achieved through a healthy work-life balance. You need to take the time to recuperate, unwind, and relax so you can bounce back from stress. Fostering spirituality. Finding purpose and meaning in your work and believing it contributes to a greater good buffer the negative effects of stress. Becoming reflective. If you can be in tune with your emotional reactions and feelings, this helps to protect you from the negative effect of stress. An awareness of your potential triggers will allow you to prepare effectively and gather the necessary resources so you can bounce back in the face of adversity. Importance of resilience and grit in your personal life. Everyone experiences times in their lives when they face difficulties, issues, and challenges. Friends often tell us to be strong, and eventually we'll get through it. But what does this really mean, and how can it be achieved practically? As we've already learned, resilience means having the ability to bounce back and adapt when something challenging happens in life. It involves picking yourself up after a painful experience or trauma and moving on after using it as a life lesson. Your resiliency level will undoubtedly develop and change throughout your life. At times, you won't cope well, and at others, you'll surprise yourself at how well you've managed a challenging situation. Resilience is a psychological tool that we can implement to achieve emotional normality. If you're experiencing problems in your personal life, it can feel as if everything is becoming overwhelming. Relationship issues, illnesses, financial problems, housing difficulties, the list is a long one. When you encounter these problems, it's hard to stay balanced and to swim against the tide. Recovering and regaining stability is impossible without grit and resilience. Grit and resilience are key in your personal life for numerous reasons. It allows you to develop a protective mechanism against those experiences that can be overwhelming, while helping you to maintain more balance in your life in periods of stress and difficulty. They also protect you from developing mental health disorders. Being resilient in your personal life helps you to achieve the following. It improves your academic achievement and learning. It reduces your chance of becoming dependent on drugs or alcohol and reduces your risk-taking behaviors. It increases your involvement in family and community activities. It improves your physical well-being. In this video, we'll discuss how grit can be cultivated in the workplace. Think about a work environment where your failures were met enthusiastically and learned from. Picture an organization where teams tackle new challenges with enthusiasm and excitement, delivering projects well and in a timely manner over and over again. Now imagine a team that demands and craves feedback, being able to take criticism on board without negativity. This is the kind of workplace that demonstrates grit and resilience in practice. However, if you're in the workplace, how can you cultivate more grit and resilience so you can cope more effectively? If you're leading a team, how can you foster these qualities in your workforce? Personal ways to cultivate grit at work. We've already pointed out that grit is more important than knowledge or talent. We've also demonstrated that grit can be improved. So, how can you cultivate more grit in yourself when you're in the workplace? Here are some top tips. Pursue your passions. The passions we have are usually things we haven't mastered yet, but that inspire us and drive us to improve. Passions involve adversity and challenges, but we find the process rewarding. When you're in the workplace, you can't necessarily choose your passions to pursue. This is why you need to seek for meaning in your work. When you believe your work is important and matters, you can find it more satisfying. Work on activities that you find exciting, or make the activities you have to undertake exciting. People with grit don't have a job, they have a vocation. Practice makes perfect. People with grit work hard for their success. Hard work develops skill, and we all know we're more likely to persevere with the things that we're good at. To achieve anything, whether that be improving your sales techniques, getting a promotion, or completing a project on time, you'll need to practice. Yes, it can be tedious, but it's always worthwhile. After each task, you need to review how things went and what could be improved in future. Work on those weaknesses to boost your chances of success next time. Keep going. Keep pushing and sticking with things, even if you're desperate to quit. Persevering makes you more gritty. If you believe you can improve things, that improvement will happen. Picture your goal whenever you want to quit. Find support or read an inspiring quote as a reminder you will prevail. Above all, remember that it's normal to fail and make mistakes, and that failure is necessary for improvement. Give your work meaning. Tweak the way in which you look at your job. Rethink your responsibilities and frame them in a more meaningful way so you feel fulfilled. Doing this will boost your performance and your job satisfaction. Don't focus on promotions or bonuses. Instead, work out your clear purpose and vision and set yourself ambitious goals. Most importantly, understand that your work is having a positive effect on other people. Trust yourself. Often, people facing setbacks give up. They believe they don't have what it takes to succeed. However, changing that approach helps you build grit. It isn't always easy to trust yourself and your own abilities, but it's a skill you can learn. Ask yourself what you trust most about yourself. Ask your colleagues the same question. Use the answers to reinforce your self-belief. Surround yourself with gritty individuals. We're all influenced by people around us. If you socialize with other gritty people, you'll naturally develop more grit yourself. Relentless drive and leadership. Grit in terms of leadership is your ability to focus on your goals and to work on them for extended periods, whatever the competing interests or obstacles. Successful leaders aren't just gritty themselves, but they can also instill that quality in their workforce. Leaders performing at the highest level push both themselves and their employees to push their boundaries, take more risks, and face more challenges. How can you show relentless drive through your leadership? If you're keen for your workforce to attempt new things and embrace risk, inspiring them is the key. You need to share your own vision so their work develops more meaning and they feel like they have a shared purpose. Helping every team member to see the ways in which their specific goals and tasks drive your vision forward helps to bring them all a step nearer to achieving the goals. Part of this involves setting high standards. Workers are usually keen to meet your expectations and not to disappoint. This means setting the bar at a high level without it being too hard to reach is vital. You'll need to ensure you're holding yourself accountable too when it comes to meeting the standards you set for your workers. Once you've set out the standards for your team and defined your goals clearly, you should give your employees autonomy over defining how the tasks will be done. Don't micromanage. Allow your workers to display their own commitment and ingenuity. Allow them to be free to experiment, to try new things, and to think in different ways. If they succeed, recognize, reward, and praise them. If they fail, encourage learning from their mistakes. Creating a workplace culture that supports grit development means modeling this behavior to the workforce. Show them in practice how grit looks. That means embracing challenges yourself and taking risks. Helping to build a strong and relentless team. With all of this in mind, how do you build a work team that is relentless and strong? Here are a few tips to point you in the right direction. Establish a positive work environment. Creating a work environment in which your team feels safe and know that making improvements is just as vital as the final goal itself is essential. Set realistic expectations. It's important to have ongoing dialogue with your team, instilling the concept that failure can be positive and lessons can be learned from mistakes. Set stretching goals. If your team stays within its comfort zone, there's a lack of creativity and innovation. Your team must be encouraged to identify its limits so you can then implement new goals to push them to exceed those boundaries. Monitor experiences. At regular intervals, you need to get team feedback so you can clearly understand their frustrations and pain points. Making yourself available to support them whenever necessary is key. Learning and reflection. Reflecting and learning is part of the improvement process. Identify where positive learning can be made from failures and mistakes. In this video, we'll discover about cultivating grit in practice. Now you know the importance of cultivating grit, but how do you actually go about doing this in person? Even with examples from real life of what grit looks like in practice, how do you put them into effect in your own daily existence? Here, we look at some top tips to help you cultivate more grit in your own life. Know what you want. Cultivating grit begins with knowing precisely what you want. If you are aware of what you desire and you can visualize that goal, you'll inevitably work harder, persevering more so you can achieve it. Having a clear vision of the path ahead is vital. If the world can't see your vision and even think you're mad for seeing it, you need to keep your own vision of your goals stronger still, maintaining the grit to carry on despite the naysayers and negativity. Know your why. Knowing your purpose doesn't just fuel positivity, it also helps to drive grit in a major way. Knowing your why prevents obstacles from blocking your path, and when you have a purpose that is greater than the challenges you face, you'll never give up. Loving your choices. If you don't love what you do, you can never excel. You'll never find the motivation to overcome the challenges and persevere. On the other hand, if you're passionate about what you do, you'll never quit, even if the rest of the world believes you should. You'll carry on turning up day after day, putting in the extra work that it takes to succeed, and learn that your success will never be created through the opinions of others. Embracing the fear. A major component of grit is being aware that failure is inevitable at some point on the way. However, you mustn't allow that failure to stop you or define you. Failure is essential on any path towards success. It isn't an enemy. Rather, it's a growth partner that refines you, not defines you. If you never failed at anything, you'd never be able to develop the necessary character to succeed. Grit means failing, yet moving forward. Failure is an event and not a definition, so leave the past in the past and move onwards. Ignoring the critics. You shouldn't want recognition for what you do. You should want to succeed for the sheer joy of it. All gritty people experience attacks, criticism, and scrutiny. The key is to overlook the critics and ignore them. Expect criticism and don't be surprised to encounter it, but don't be swayed by it either. Accept it and move on. Know you have the resilience and grit to live with criticism and to carry on moving towards success. In this video, we'll discover about grit, an acronym. We've been talking about grit all through this video course and about how it involves your ability to do what it takes to achieve success. However, there is a further upgrade to basic grit. GRIT is an acronym that encompasses the 4 key dimensions to maximizing your grit potential. G equals growth. Most people think about growth in terms of mindset. However, when considering grit, it has been shown that growth isn't just a mindset, but it's also your ability to rise above the situation in which you find yourself. It is your capability to seek out new insights and fresh ideas to improve the way you approach challenges and boost your chance of living a successful life. R equals resilience. When it comes to grit, being resilient isn't just about bouncing back from failure or obstacles. It's also about your ability to be improved and strengthened by the adversity you face. The aim of the quest is to be able to respond in the best possible way to anything that may occur right at the moment that it strikes. Each time you face adversity, you must ask yourself how you could respond more quickly and more effectively to the situation, harnessing the power of that adversity so you can learn from it in the future. I equals instinct. Everyone knows somebody who pursues the wrong dreams and goals consistently, or who goes about pursuing them in the wrong way. In time, those patterns lead to disappointment and failure. Your instincts are therefore important when it comes to pursuing the correct goals in the right way. Relentlessness is always powerful, but if that relentlessness is refined, it cannot be beaten. So, step back, reassess the situation, and change your strategy whenever necessary to achieve long-term success. You can tap into your natural instincts by regularly asking yourself if you're still striving for the right goal, or whether a better version of that goal has now presented itself. Ask if you can refine your goal to make it more true and compelling, and whether your current plan of action is truly the best possible way of getting there, or whether there are improvements that can be made to your approach to help you achieve success more efficiently. T equals tenacity. Most people think of unrelenting, persistent effort when they think of the term grit. It's fair to say that virtually everyone who makes noteworthy accomplishments will be zealous in their approach. Yet tenacity isn't just about persistence and unrelenting effort. It's about a single, wholehearted push and effort that allows you to dramatically improve your success. It's about developing strategic tenacity rather than raw perseverance. How can you hone your efforts so that you enhance your progress? In this video, we'll discuss grit and risk-taking. Is grit the same as taking risks? You may think that grit and risk-taking are pretty much the same things. However, is taking risks the driver of your success? While some amount of risk is usually necessary to succeed in any venture, work-related or personal, risk by itself isn't a sufficient or accurate predictor of success. This is where grit comes into the picture. As a construct, grit is deeper, more robust, and broader than simple risk-taking. It's all about your ability to do what it takes, even if that is suffering, sacrificing, struggling, and stumbling, so you can achieve your goals and ambition. The facets of grit: effort, goal meeting, learning, energy, and problem solving. Grit can predict your success in a way that risk-taking cannot. Some or all of grit's facets can predict the following: the level of your effort, the magnitude of your goals, the likely completion of your goals, your income, your health and well-being, your learning capacity, your energy level, your ability to problem solve, your optimism. Grit, in short, can predict and influence virtually everything necessary for success. So, if grit is vital for success, surely all we need to do is just show more grit and grow. Well, the answer to this is yes and no. The key to success lies in the quality of the grit that you demonstrate. Bad and good grit. Successful people are mindful of the effects they have on other people, even when they're striving their hardest to bring their ideas into fruition. The effect of those efforts will define whether your grit is bad or good. Bad grit means that you pursue your goals in a way that either unintentionally or intentionally has a detrimental impact on other people. Berating others, burning out your workforce, or demoralizing them is a demonstration of bad grit, even if the quest is a noble one. Good grit, on the other hand, means that you pursue your goals and ambitions in a way that ultimately will benefit others as well as yourself. People demonstrating good grit go above and beyond to help others to succeed as well as themselves. Life is filled with adversity and obstacles, and sometimes continually pounding at those obstacles isn't the best course of action. If you never quit, but the relentless pursuance of your goals has left you physically and mentally drained, and your relationships in tatters, it's clear that this is not the right kind of grit for success. People with good grit, conversely, notice that their tactics aren't working and change their approach. This is the difference between simply failing and failing but then prevailing against adversity. Good grit means you can reassess situations and take new routes whenever necessary so your goals can be achieved. Bad grit, on the other hand, is stubborn. The more good grit you can show, the more likely you are to succeed. In this video, we'll discover grit and personal wellness. What happens if you lack grit in your life? Evidence has shown that if you lack resilience, your mental health can be negatively impacted. But why is this the case? How does grit improve your personal wellness? How a lack of resilience can negatively impact your mental well-being. If something goes wrong, are you more likely to fall apart or bounce back? If you've got resilience, you're capable of harnessing your inner strength and thus rebound from challenges and setbacks that you experience. Job losses, illnesses, traumas, or deaths can all be survived without serious challenge to your mental well-being. On the other hand, if you have no resilience, you may end up feeling victimized, dwelling in problems, becoming overwhelmed, or even worse, turning to unhealthy coping strategies like alcohol or drugs. Being resilient doesn't make your issues go away. However, it gives you more ability to find enjoyment in your life despite them, to see beyond those problems and find better ways of handling stress. Luckily, it's possible to develop more resilience in your life. This will allow you to adapt to adversity. Yes, you'll experience pain, grief, and anger, but you'll still be able to function psychologically and physically. Being resilient isn't just about withstanding something difficult. It's about getting support from other people and accepting it too. Resilience helps to protect you from mental health problems like anxiety and depression. It also offsets factors that can increase your chance of developing mental health disorders. Even if you've already been diagnosed with a mental health problem, becoming more resilient boosts your ability to cope. How can you improve your own resilience? Here are some tips. Build positive, strong relationships with friends and loved ones, so you have acceptance and support in both the bad and good times. Make each day have meaning. Ensure you do something every day that makes you feel accomplished and purposeful. Set goals that will enable you to look forward with meaning to the future. Learn from your experiences. Think about how you have coped with problems in your past and consider the strategies and skills which have helped you in difficult times. When you've identified your negative and positive behavior patterns, you can use this information to guide your behavior in the future. Stay hopeful. It isn't possible to change what's already happened, but you can look to the future with positivity. Accept and anticipate change so you can adapt more easily to new challenges. Care for yourself. Pay attention to your feelings and needs. Participate in hobbies and activities you enjoy, and include physical activity as part of your everyday routine. Sleep well, eat well, practice relaxation techniques and stress management, and you'll feel more able to cope. Be proactive. Never ignore problems. Rather, figure out what you need to do, create a plan, then take action. While recovery takes time when you experience a loss, trauma, or setback, you need to know your situation will improve when you work at resolving it. Resilience and happiness. Happiness can be elusive. Most of us grow up believing that material possessions are the key to happiness. Clothing, food, and shelter simply aren't enough to make us feel satisfied. Even if you buy your dream home, that still isn't sufficient. You begin dreaming about the landscaping or the furniture you desire. Once each wish is satisfied, more desires raise their heads. The more you get involved in the idea that you'll be happy once you've got enough possessions, the more you'll be trapped. You'll feel jealous of those with more than you. You'll even take risks to buy things you can't afford. The more you desire stuff, the less happy you'll be. Possessions can't make you happy. Once your basic needs have been addressed, you cannot buy more happiness, not at any price. Happiness is more about how you respond to your circumstances than the circumstances in which you find yourself. Your happiness, therefore, depends on the way in which you approach life. Satisfaction isn't really about getting the things you want. It's rather about wanting the things you have and learning how to feel content. Happy people have certain traits that set them apart. They have good self-esteem. They respect their own value as a person and feel confident about themselves. With a strong sense of their own self-worth, they can cope if times get tough and persist until those times are gone. Good self-control. They believe they can control the things that happen to them and that they have control of their own destiny, so they aren't a victim of fate. Optimism. They are hopeful and believe they can succeed whenever they try a new thing. Their glass is always half full. Sociability. Happy people are usually outgoing and love being around other people. They engage in social activities and have friends for social support and affection. Can you become happier? After all, not everybody is an optimistic, confident extrovert. Yet, it's possible to become happier by pretending you have those facets in your personality. Fake it until you make it. By practicing being happy, you can strengthen your ability to become happy. And as you become more comfortable acting in this way, this attitude will start to become natural to you. When interacting with others, pretend to be outgoing. You'll soon find that you can be sociable after all, and with this sociability comes greater confidence and self-esteem. All of these things boost your optimism and happiness in the future. Resilience and motivation. Resilience allows you to bounce back no matter what emotional, physical, social, or financial challenge you face. Resilience means having the ability to change and adapt to your circumstances, even if you face tragedy, adversity, trauma, stress, and hardship. Motivation isn't the same thing as resilience, but it is related to it. Motivation has its basis on inner urges, rather than being stimulated as a response to challenge or adversity. Motivation is a need, desire, or drive to behave in certain ways so a specific end can be achieved. However, it is linked to resilience because motivation is necessary if you're going to be a resilient person. People who are resilient and people who have motivation have similar characteristics and both can be developed in time. Resilient versus non-resilient people, a comparison. So, how do resilient people compare with those who lack resilience? There are several comparisons that can be drawn. 1. They can control their own destiny. It's hard to understand ways in which you can control your own destiny, since adversity's very nature takes away control. If you view yourself as being essentially able to control the bad and good things you experience, you can create your own scenarios and options based on foresight, the situation itself, and instinct. This allows you to draw up an alternative plan in anticipation of adversity, or even in the midst of it. 2. They accept the fight. Humans are naturally predisposed to battle adversity bitterly. The most resilient people find ways of fighting adversity by embracing it. It's important to learn that it isn't about how your dreams can be achieved. It's about learning how you can lead your life in the best possible way. If you do this, your dreams can come true naturally. Accepting the situation in which you find yourself and letting go of that outcome allows you to adapt to circumstances and thrive, even when adversity raises its head. 3. They can use adversity as a compass. Adversity often comes into your life in order to show you the path to your true destiny. Even the toughest times can serve a higher purpose to make you realize your true goals and the road that you should take. It may seem that you're being led in a direction that is completely opposite to that which you desired, but resilient people accept that they are traveling this new path and use the adversity they encounter to find a new vision and a new calling that can help others as well as themselves. 4. They suffer well. Inherently, adversity will invoke disappointment, suffering, and pain. Accepting pain and growing through it all forms a key part of personal growth. Of course, this isn't easy. Learning how to suffer well is a skill like any other, and therefore requires ongoing conscious learning and practice. 5. They are patient. Patience is a virtue, but it is also a skill that demands practice over and over again. Strength lies in being patient, and practicing patience starts with compassion towards other people, even when they hurt you or behave in a negative way, as well as gratitude. If you can feel thankful for the things you have, even if your life is turned upside down, you are ready to practice patience. 6. They let go. We experience fear as a protective emotion to signal danger so we can prepare for problems and cope with them. Perhaps fear is the main emotion holding us back. We fear failure, loss, the unknown, and change. Emotional pain also holds us back from achieving our goals. While other people cause us pain in our lives, we can also cause ourselves pain through our own actions. There is a physical reaction that we experience to pain and fear. This is known as the flight or fight response. If you let go, this is an inner action that prevents us from resisting pain and fear and allows us to see more clearly. If you can develop a non-judgmental attitude towards people and life, you can truly let go. We can then forgive other people and ourselves for incompatibility and mistakes. You must therefore become willing to let go of those people you no longer need, as well as your anger, pain, and fear. Letting go allows you to change and adapt, to become more flexible. While this isn't easy and takes conscious effort, it is something that must be mastered to become truly resilient and successful in the face of adversity. 7. They live for today. If you live in the moment, you can escape adversity and preserve your energy. Living for today doesn't mean you don't care about the future or your past. Rather, it means that once you've decided to do something, your focus lies solely on doing it, instead of allowing your mind to go back to the past or wander towards the future. 8. They can lead from within. Even in our darkest moments, we need to remain connected with our core intentions. People who are resilient reach their highest possible potential through taking risks which are consistent with their own purpose and ethos. Essentially, they lead themselves. 9. They are flexible. We only need to look at water to see an example of the strength of flexibility. Water may be soft, yielding, and fluid, but over time it wears away the rock that is unyielding and rigid. Whatever is yielding, soft, and fluid eventually overcomes that which is hard and rigid. To survive, lead, and thrive in the face of adversity, we therefore need to be flexible enough to ride out the ups and downs of life. This means we need to have the adaptability, resilience, and faith to manage life's harshest realities. 10. They choose the correct traveling partners. Those that we surround ourselves with make all the difference between success and failure in our lives. It isn't just the people that we choose to surround ourselves with that count, but it's also important to consider the ways in which we interact with them. We need to avoid those who take us backwards, waste our time, and bring us down. If they're not interested in our suffering, they need to be avoided. Although sometimes we cannot remove such people from our lives, we can make choices to prevent them from weakening us. In the journey of our lives, we encounter many people. While some are planned, others occur by coincidence or accident. Chance encounters can often be the best ones, with the people that we meet in such ways becoming valuable along the route that we travel. Even when those encounters are negative ones, their usefulness can be harnessed as a lesson for the future. 11. They move forwards. To be able to achieve our ambitions, we must be able to visualize our dreams. This creates the right mindset to bring our dreams to life. Knowing precisely what we desire lies at the heart of achieving success. But to execute that success, we need to move forwards, taking another step each day, even when the path is difficult. In this video, we'll talk about 10 tips to increase resilience to help you thrive. Now you know just how important resilience and grit are in your life when it comes to thriving and succeeding even in the face of adversity. It's important to know how you can boost yours so you can achieve your full potential. Here are 10 tips you can follow to stand you in good stead for the future. 1. Be sociable. It's vital to have people in your life that you trust and can confide in. With supportive, caring people surrounding you, you have protection even in times of crisis. Talking about your problems with loved ones and friends can't make your problems go away, but it does allow you to get support, get positive feedback, share your emotions and feelings, and to generate potential solutions to the issues you face. 2. Take control. Waiting for problems to diminish by themselves is pointless and will only prolong the crisis you're facing. Instead, begin working on how to resolve your issues straight away. True, there may be no simple or speedy solutions, but it's possible to take steps towards improving your situation and making it less stressful. Try focusing on the progress you've already made and plan the next steps in your journey instead of being discouraged by how much remains undone and still has to be accomplished. Working actively on solutions helps you to feel in control of your life. Instead of waiting for things to take place, be proactive and make your goal a reality. 3. Expect change. A key element of resilience is flexibility. If you learn how you can be more adaptable to different circumstances, you will be more equipped to cope if you face a crisis in your life. People who are resilient use such events as a way of branching out in a new direction. Although some people are crushed when they experience an abrupt change, people who are highly resilient learn how to thrive through adaptation. 4. Move continuously forward. Although it seems hard, you mustn't run from the things that frighten you most. By doing the things you fear, you can overcome the fear itself. Moving out of your comfort zone isn't easy, but once you've done it, you realize that it's possible, and what's more, it wasn't as difficult as you anticipated. You can deal with all that life throws at you if you approach it head-on, meeting it with strength. Eat the frog first. Do the thing that is worst before you tackle anything else, and the remainder of your day will be a breeze. 5. Commit to decision-making. It's always hard to make a decision. Nobody has every bit of information they need, and nobody can understand every eventuality. However, moving forward is impossible until you make a decision one way or another. Commit to making a decision, and then commit to the decision that you've made. If it's the wrong choice, learn from it and move in a different direction. Taking action swiftly and resolutely is essential for success, while doubting yourself and failing to decide only herald disaster. 6. Learn about yourself. You need to learn how to recognize the things that make you unique and strong, then own those things. Everybody has their own strengths, and they must be acknowledged. Don't wait for the other people to acknowledge your own strengths. Acknowledge them first yourself. Consider keeping a victory log where you journal everything you've accomplished during your life. Track the strengths you see in yourself, such as hard work, promptness, and self-discipline. This allows you to see clearly who you are and why you are successful. 7. Banish negative self-talk. Being confident in your own abilities when it comes to coping with life stresses has a vital role to play in becoming more resilient. If you're confident in yourself and your ability to deal with and respond to a crisis, you can cope in the future. Part of this involves listening out for your own negative self-talk. If you're constantly putting yourself down or making negative comments inside your head, you need to practice immediately replacing those thoughts with positive ones, like, I'm able to do this, or I'm good at what I do. Self-esteem has an important part to play in recovering from adversity and coping with stress, so remind yourself consistently of your accomplishments and strengths. 8. Accept that bad things happen. Avoid dwelling on past events, and don't give yourself a hard time about the things that have already happened. It isn't the negative event itself that hurts you, but rather the things you say to yourself when it has happened. To be successful, you need to talk positively to yourself. See negative events as merely temporary and keep a mindset that is future-oriented so you can enjoy lifelong happiness. Bad things will inevitably occur during your life, but accepting this and facing the bad things in the future with strength is essential. 9. Practice optimism. Maintaining a positive outlook and approach to life isn't always easy, but remember that successful people aren't negative. Believe that life can be better, and it will become better. To achieve this, count the things you have to be thankful for and journal them. This helps to cultivate greater optimism in your life. 10. Practice compassion. If you're feeling stressed out, it's very easy to overlook your needs and to neglect your well-being. Not eating properly, forgoing regular exercise, and sleeping badly may be common reactions when you're coping with a crisis. But none of these things will help you develop grit and resilience in the face of adversity. Rather, focus on how you can nurture yourself. Show yourself the compassion that you would show to others who are going through a difficult time. Take time to do the things you enjoy. Look after your physical and mental well-being. Meditate, relax, and de-stress. If you care for yourself and show your self-compassion, you will boost your health overall and improve your resilience so you can truly face the challenges of life and overcome them effectively. We all face adversity in our lives from time to time, and knowing how to face those troubling episodes without letting them overwhelm us is key to being happy, positive, and most of all, successful. Grit and resilience lie at the heart of this. Grit means that you have the strength to face whatever comes your way and ride it out, even when it's difficult. Grit and resilience are strongly connected, and when you have the right balance of both, you can bounce back even after you suffer a major defeat, loss, or tragedy. You can learn from the mistakes that you make and accept that they are important when it comes to helping you to move forward in life with a positive perspective. Most of all, grit and resilience mean that you won't fall at the first hurdle, but will persevere and persist in the pursuance of your ambitions and dreams, whatever they may be and whatever the rest of the world says, and so overcome the challenges you encounter along the path. In this video course, we have looked at why grit, resilience, and the growth mindset that they produce are so important to overcoming adversity and learning how to thrive in the face of life's challenges. We've also looked at the fact that grit and resilience aren't something that you're born with, but are actually something you can develop, increase, and hone so that you can become even stronger and even more able to cope even when the going gets tough. We have also suggested many ways in which you can develop greater resilience and grit in both your personal and working life so that you can become stronger as an individual and more capable of reaching your goals and achieving your ambitions. Follow the top tips that we've suggested here and you'll find that you become more successful in achieving the things that you desire from life and also happier with the things that you already have. Developing grit and resilience to thrive in the face of adversity is a skill like any other, and with the right amount of practice and perseverance, you'll find that your abilities become stronger and better over time so that you can achieve your own personal success.